secretly under the cover of darkness. But some said no. So there's been mixed reactions. We didn't know about the signing until the U.S. embassy, because the signing was all being speculated until the U.S. embassy came out with the press statement commending the government for signing that deal, 1.8 billion, in fact. And right after that, the following day, the Ministry of Information held a press conference confirming the signing of the deal. We'll be talking about that, the uptakes as well. We'll be looking at that. Let me welcome Mr. Kennedy, Josh Kennedy, one of my teammates here, who's off here tonight. George, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Sova. It's wonderful being here again.
I hope that Moses Sadi will join us very, very shortly so that we can talk about Mama Liberia. We are hoping to have as guest on the show tonight Councillor Kanu Bagbara. Councillor Bagbara is Moses in? Okay, Councillor Kanu Bagbara. Who? Okay. Kanu Bagbara is assistant professor of law at the Louis Arthur Graham School of Law. Sometimes I hear people saying Louis. No, that word is not. It's not Louis. It's Louis Arthur Graham School of Law. He also the former chairperson of the Liberia political centricism movement. I don't know what is it. He's also the founder of that. We also have Bonkara Representative Mema Briggs Mensah. She promised to be here faithfully. Former Representative David Cody, and also we'll have as guest Mr. Jacob Jala. Mr. Jala will be joining us. That is at 8:30. We'll be discussing. That is at 8:30. We'll be discussing. So hoping that we'll have one of our guests here at 8:30 on this platform to look at those major discussions. But what is trending, in fact? Let me hear from you, George.
I think really is the brief meeting at the White House of President Trump and the 5 African leaders. I think is the most trending issue. One of the issues that are trending is the issue of the ArcelorMittal, their agreement being, they were summoned first by the Senate and now the House, later again the Senate. I think I've been following Senator Yan Twain, who has been very vocal on that issue. So I think, plus other issues that may be on the table.
Okay, like I said, we'll be talking about the multilateral launch today held by U.S. President Donald Trump with African leaders. We'll be looking at the takeaway. But I just want to first put it to the public. There's been this whole mixed reaction. Some said, I want to ask them about their own takeaway. From the presentations, the initial presentation, because I'm sure our president will have a meeting with Donald Trump, some closed meeting as well, before he can return. But that was just his initial presentation. So let's hear from the public. What do they make of what the president spoke about today? And in fact, when our guest comes, that will be the first discussion. But let's put it to the public. What the public makes of the of our president's initial presentation at the launch held by U.S. President Donald Trump. There were some key things that our president spoke about when he was making the case for Liberia. So let's try to put it to the audience. Let's try to put it to the audience quickly. 0778. Let's try to get the number again to call. Besides, you can also call our low start line 0886 540-987. We want to hear from you. What did you make of the presentation, the initial presentation of our president at the launch with U.S. President Donald Trump? Our president spoke about U.S. investment, about the U.S. encouraging the U.S. to come and survey our minerals. He said, "Wow, there are sufficient minerals," and of course, the sidetracks, the attractive part of it when the U.S. president responded and asked our president, "Where did you learn the English from?" So that was something shocking. Let's hear from you quickly. 0778-460-793. Again, 0778-460-793, or better still, 0886 540-987. Again, 0886 540-987, or 0778-460-793. Want to hear from you, your takeaway from what the president said today during his initial presentation. Let's take the first call on the line. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Let's hear from you.
This is Pascal.
Yeah, Pascal.
So, Liberia is an interesting country. So, our initial gift from America is that the president can speak good English. So that's the fact is, it's a disgrace to the country, except that Donald Trump does not know that Liberia gained her independence from America. If America is an English-speaking country, so will Liberia be too. But to ask where they do the English from, and though in Liberia, it is French that is spoken here, then it is questionable. Look, I can't get it. How is where you learn your English from is a news for the country? Come to think about it. So I'm also wondering that we want to take count to Liberia and strata in our closing.
Okay, so apart from the reaction of the U.S. president, to the quality of English that our president spoke. You also heard the president when he encouraged the U.S. to also invest in Liberia. Well, let's hear from you some of the things that the president said. What's your takeaway?
Look, Sabo.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
If you were the president and you went to America and you went to Germany, and you went to France, if you start with any of these presidents or prime minister, you will ask them to come to laboratory there. Are you not aware that Liberia has natural resources? In gold, in diamond, in butter, in iron ore, in silver? Are you not aware? No, I'm asking, are you not aware of those resources that exist in the country? Are you not aware that Liberia go on?
He's supposed to be about Israel. Okay. Okay. Many thanks. Let's get another call on the line quickly. Many thanks. 0778-460-793. Again, 0778-460-793. What's your takeaway? You heard our president today making his first initial presentation. In fact, when he went to when he attended the multilateral meeting held with African leaders, you heard what the president said to Donald Trump, and also the reaction from Donald Trump. What's your take? What's your takeaway? What did you gather from what our president said today? During the launch with the U.S. President Donald Trump. Again, 0778-460-793. That's the number to call. 0778-460-793, or better still, 0886-540-987. Again, 0886-540-987. That's the number to call. You can call those two numbers, and of course, any of them you'll be live on the nighttime heat. Again, you listen to our president today. He went to in the U.S. attending the U.S. African Summit. He spoke there today. Initially, he made a statement there. That's his initial presentation. That's not all that the president. That's not the only meeting I'm sure the president will have with the U.S. president. Will have some closed door talks as well. But the opening of the entire launch the U.S. president, asked the presidents that attended the launch to make some opening comments, and you heard our president also. What did you take away? What did you hear from our president? What's your impression? Impression about what the president said, and of course your takeaway as well. We want to hear from you. 0778-460-793. Again, 0778-460-793, or better still, 0778-460-793, or 0886-540-987. 0886-540-987. That's the number to call and to alive on the program. Let's hear from you. How did you feel today while we still with calls? When you listen to the president? Okay, let's try to take Moses. Let's welcome Moses to the program. Moses was not here on Monday. He's here today. So I know that was due to some major work engagements. Moses, welcome to the program. Moses?
Yes. Yeah, thank you, Saba. Mr. Kennedy, how are you, my brother? Monrovia?
I'm fine, sir. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I know, as I speak to you, man, extremely hot, weather, inclement weather, more than 100 degrees. So it's very hot on the East Coast, but it's good to be back, and it's good to be among the living. I'm grateful. Thank you for the opportunity.
Good. I wanted to share the show. I'm getting feedback. Moses, do you have anything playing? You're back. Hello, Moses. Okay, I think that's been resolved. Again, you can just share the show. Again, tap on your phone, your Facebook phone, or maybe using your laptop. The three words, nighttime heat. As soon as you do that, you're going to follow the show. Want to share the show tonight. Promises to be very, very interesting. We're trying to hear from you, but first let me hear from Moses. Moses, you followed, I'm sure, what's been trending on social media. You might have also followed from where you are. Okay, Moses. It's now on. We're hoping that Moses can come back on. But we're still trying to hear from you, members of the public. 0778-460-793. Again, 0778-460-793. Or better still, 0886-540-987. 0886-540-987. That's the number to call and to our live on the live. Moses, please do make some adjustment. We are getting bad feedback. Again, 0886-540. This caller trying to call in. 0778-460-793. We want to hear from you. What's your take? Your takeaway from what you heard the president talking about today. The president attended. President Joseph Maboka attended a multilateral launch with Donald Trump, and of course. President Trump asked the leaders to give their opening comments, and you heard what our president said. You also heard the reaction of the U.S. President Donald Trump praising or showering praises on our president for the quality of English that he spoke there. We want to hear from you. 0778-460-793, or better still, 0886-540-987. That's the number to call. 0886-540-987. Or better still, 0778-460-793. Again, 0778-460-793. That's the number to call, and you are live on the program. We need to take this caller quickly. Let's try to take that caller quickly. This is a caller on the line. It's 8:20. It's said it. Our guest will be joining us for us to start the ball rolling. But I want to hear from you today regarding your take, concerning what our president spoke about today when he attended the launch with the U.S. president. Let's take this caller on the line. Good evening. Good evening. Oh, the call is off the line again. 08778460793. Again, 07784600793. Better still, 0886540987. Again, 0886540987. That's the number to call. And of course, you are live. That's the number to call, and you are live on the program. 07784600987. Again, 07784600987. You can call that number, and of course, you'll be live on the program. We're hoping to get Moses to come back quickly. Moses went off the line again. Let's take this caller. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
What's your takeaway? What did you hear from our president when you addressed Donald Trump?
Yeah, for our president, he presented a case of Liberia. But for me, I have one problem with the American president.
Okay.
Donald Trump is always in the habit of insulting leaders. He did that to the Ukrainian president a few weeks back, where he described the man clothes, told the man that what kind of clothes you wear, you are not to wear clothes like this. I hate to say, and you wasn't the man that seems today he didn't want president. Our president did not leave from Liberia to go to the United States to present English. Our president went to America to present the case of Liberia. To even ask the president, where are you from? Where you learn your English from? That to me was an insult to our president. To ask our president, where are you from? Liberia. Where you learn your English from? I don't think Donald Trump as a president should speak to our president in such a manner.
Okay.
And other people are on Facebook or in the internet, on the media, saying that it was right. It was an insult, not people.
Okay.
They didn't learn your English from.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. You made a point. Thank you very much. Thank you. 0778-460-793. Again, 0778-460-793. That's the number to call, or better still, 0886-540-987. 0886-540-987. You call those numbers. You're going to be live on the nighttime heat tonight. Again, 0778-460-793. That makes reactions. What do you think? What did you gather from what the president said when you addressed the U.S. President Donald Trump? Let's forget about the reaction. But, you heard the president talking about encouraging the U.S. to invest in Liberia, encouraging the U.S. to come and do a survey of our minerals. Those are, key things that the president spoke about. And then the reaction can come later on. But let's hear from you. What did you gather from what the president said? Our president said to Donald Trump. Let's get this call on the line. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir. Let's hear from you.
Yeah, this is William Sally calling from Providence.
Okay.
Yeah, when it comes to the issue about our president traveling to the United States to participate, Donald Trump is then a very rude leader. Always has the habit of insulting other leaders.
But what is it? Let me ask you, what is the insult in that?
Why would you tell the president that?
Hello? You got nothing to say, man. Hey, at first we want to put, the political, some political, spin around. What's the insult regarding that? George, you think there was an insult there?
That was no insult. The first thing I observe is I don't know if President Trump really knows much about Liberia. I don't know if he's really aware that Liberia is an Anglophone country. That's the first thing. So I could switch it to President Trump to see that probably he never had the knowledge.
Okay, let's get call on the line. Let's get call quickly. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Good evening to your family.
Okay.
Aliyu, came family and calling from Cross River.
Let's hear from you, family.
For me, I want to commend our president. For me, my takeaway on that particular meeting, it made me to understand that the whole world attention now because the past 6 years, international community will have no respect. So our president looking at 54 countries, get 54 presidents, for Donald Trump to call fast and all our fast, like bro president there. For me, I'm a big takeaway there. So I want to commend the president what we're talking about because the president Donald Trump asked the president why you let your English phone in me that insult. What made I want to be insult? Why let English phone I'm on bro? How we like when we speak. That one a bad thing, that one a insult, that one a not insult. So for me I want to commend it. And the whole world now attention, at least we're very represented. Also, the passing here, we're not seeing that, Mr. George. Thank you very much.
Okay, many thanks. 0778-460-793. Again, 0778-460-793. Moses has returned. Moses, let's hear from you to get your introductory comments on what we've been talking about quickly.
Well, look, a lot has been said. And I just want to quickly speak to the compliment from President Trump. Mr. Barker, you speak good English as compared to the rest
let's go with there and take this call on the line quickly, Moses. We'll come back to you.
Yeah.
Yes, good evening. Yes, sir.
This is my maybe I'm joining from the South of West Point, sir.
Okay.
Someone as it relates to the president introduction, reacting the president so well, and as it relates to the question President Trump posed to our president as to whatever he lay in English, I think it was just a joke. It was a joke conversation. It was a jobless conversation. Yeah, when he lay in English, it almost like I tell you someone. I mean, someone you just found today. I have just found on you today. The serious thing that there aren't any issue with it. So it's not something for anybody to put it this out. I think it was a joke conversation. In fact, for all the leaders that speak, for him to single the president out, I think it's an intention to tell you that the tie between America and Liberia is strong and moving on well. So the president of the United States decided to joke with the president of Liberia.
Okay.
So my layman understanding from West Point Corner.
Okay, from the West Point corner. Okay, that's good. Let's get another call on the line quickly. We'll take about 5 more calls before we can join our guests. 0778-460-793. Again, 0778-460-793, or better still, 0886-540-987. If you are abroad, you may be in the US or wherever, you can call and you see the number on the stream. Yes, let's take this call on the quickly. Good evening. Yes, sir.
Okay,
let's hear from you.
For me, asking our president what he learned, you know why? Because our president's something very good was in place, and he spoke as a president. So asking him, I don't know, nothing, is a mark for Liberia. So Jonathan was very, very attentive, looking at Joseph Barker,
Yeah, sure.
articulating. This is so for me, Liberia is a country where people will post on everything, the country.
Okay.
It's not a good thing.
But what's about okay? So what's about some of the things that the president said? Also encouraging the U.S. to come and invest in Liberia. Also asking the U.S. to.
Now you see,
yeah,
President was very open. Liberia is open to investment. American companies who come in the country for the able to invest. People did not see, but they're still trying to put a spin on it. You see, as far as we are concerned, we are on the global map. We are making strides.
Okay. Many thanks. Let me take another call on the line quickly. I'll take 3 more calls and I'll wrap it up before our guests can join us. Good evening.
Good evening, Sir George.
Yes, sir.
This is Emmanuel Dongo calling you from the Simple Bridgehead.
Let's hear from you, email.
I want to first congratulate our president, Mr. Barker. It's clear. It just showed the attention that the American president was paying keen attention to our president. Because when he took the first 3 minutes, he drew the president's attention. So he marked every statement that he was saying going up. And he represented the Liberian today. I think Liberian should be proud that even that Donald Trump recognized that we had some education in Liberia. In the past, some people felt that we were not educated. But I think he figured that out. The next thing he told the president that we should be happy that he came this far and going this side. No, now be careful. If somebody do the best, praise the person. If you get not to say, then just shut
George, hello?
certain thing. President Boakai got educated in Liberia. I don't know which other school he attended outside of Liberia besides maybe Kenema in Freetown. I don't know one school that one time he went there, this and that. So it shows that Liberia all is not when it comes to education. When President Trump praised his accent, the way he spoke, his presentation was very excellent. I told you before that President Trump is a bold person. He doesn't hide his feelings about something. And so he got moved, and so he aired it right there to the public, and that was an endorsement. That shouldn't be like we have won anything. It should be like we should use school outside of Africa, outside of, in fact, West Africa. So he learned he got his education right here in Liberia. So for him to speak to a white man or to the people from the West, and the president of the United States said, "Oh, you speak very well." I mean, where did you learn your English from? President Trump just thought that probably our president went abroad and got his education. But when President Walker said, "No, in Liberia," he said, "Oh, Liberia speak good English, beautiful." And so I mean, that was plus for us. Don't take it as negative. We shouldn't take it from the negative.
Let us not take it from the negative perspective.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can share the show. Again, want to share this show. This is the only show that brings all sides together. This is the Nighttime Heat. This show is on the Prime FM 105.5 and also relayed on Radio Kegeman. That is in Nimbakari, Kwatiga and Bonk and Zozo, and that's not Zozo. Radio Wogisi, that is in Lofa. County. We are also streaming live on our Facebook page. So share the show. We want to share the show. This is the show where everybody can come in. We encourage all views on this show. We bring all sides together, whether the non-position, the opposition, the imposition. We bring them together to talk about our country. This is where we herald the need for national unity and reconciliation. This is where we espouse the interest of our dear country, Liberia. This is the only show that you don't hear people being besmeared, their character being tainted or damaged or whatever. No. Before we say something on this platform, we should have we should do our own due diligence and have the truism of what we want to talk about. So we didn't just say anything. My panelists, George and Moses, will always want to make sure that we do our own due diligence. We investigate well. We explore all opportunities, all avenues before we can say something on the show. So this is a credible show. This is not a show that beats the drum of the government or beats the drum of the opposition. No, this show it's between and between. It has absolutely no linkage, no political linkage at all. So you can again share the show. Want to share the show? Just tap on your phone, your Facebook page where you have that search. Just go there and tap Nighttime Heat. Very shortly, our guests will be joining us. I'm sure. Our guests will be joining us very shortly. We have been having internet problem, and of course, they are joining us gradually. They are joining us. So I understand that David Koi is now on. Kali Babala, Councillor, is now on, and of course, Reverend Christopher Toh. Reverend Toh is this chief scribe of the Council of Churches. The three of them are on. Let's try to welcome our guests. Kennedy, you can do that now.
Okay, so just briefly, I would like to welcome you all, Honorable, SG, Honorable Bala. Is he on too?
Yeah, Councillor.
So, Councillor Bala, you are welcome. And you guys, here on the show, as we said, we try to be as balanced as we can. And what we do also is try to do some corrections if you see that some mistakes have been done, to come in to correct. So you guys are welcome.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Many thanks.
Saba?
Yeah.
Saba?
Yes, Mr. Kori?
Yeah, since we have some internet problems, why don't we just begin by giving our opening statement so that we don't get cut off?
Yes, it's okay now. It's okay. I want to play a tape before we all can begin to talk. The recording from the multilateral launch they held by the U.S. President Donald Trump with African leaders. I want to play that tape as soon as possible. But gentlemen, welcome to the program. We're still expecting Bonk County Representative Member Briggs to join us anytime. Let's try to get the recording. Let's try to get a tape to play quickly so that we all can listen.
In celebration of your 249th anniversary, we did in Liberia at your embassy. Mr. President, we thank you for this opportunity to be here. Liberia is a longtime friend of the United States, and we believe in your policy of making America great again. And we will sure go a long way with you, in your diplomacy. diplomacy that has to do with economic development and commercial friendship. Liberia has a lot of minerals, and one of the things we ask as good friends for a long time is the opportunity to do a survey of our minerals. And also we are committed to peace, and we've been very lucky within our region. We are a country that have had series of democratic elections, and our country has been cooling down. And also we want to encourage American involvement in the investment in Liberia. We'd like to see that happen. We want to work with the United States in peace and security within the region, because we are committed to that. And we just want to thank you so much for this opportunity.
Well, thank you. And such good English, such beautiful. Where did you learn to speak so beautifully? Where were you educated? Where?
Yes, sir.
In Liberia.
Yes, sir.
Well, that's very interesting. It's beautiful English.
Sure.
I have people at this table can't speak nearly as well,
Very
and
good, sir. Thank you.
they come from.
Okay. You're listening to the President of the Republic of Liberia, President Joseph Newman Boakai, and also you listen to Donald Trump, the U.S. President, reacting. Gentlemen, let's hear from you, in next a minute or so. First, let's hear from Councillor Kanu Bara. Councillor Bara is he's an assistant professor of the Louis Arthur School of Law. He's also the founder and chairperson of the Liberia Political Centrism Movement. Councillor Bara, welcome to the program. Let's hear your first reaction. We'll come up to you. But let's hear your first reaction, your own takeaway.
Well, thank you, Sobo. Thank you for having me. I don't know if I'm audible. Can you hear me?
You are very audible.
Very audible. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having me. Good evening to all your other esteemed panelists. I see my own papa, David Koti, is here. Very knowledgeable, learned, experienced. Others are also on the panel. It's an absolute pleasure to share this panel with such experienced people. So thank you for having me. On to the events of today that has a lot of tongues wagging, not just in Liberia, but all across the continent, about this meeting that apparently, President Boakai has emerged out of as being the center of attraction. I think it's something worthy of comment. But before I comment on that, I want to start by pointing out something that a lot of folks may not have taken into consideration. And that thing is, it takes a lot of work, networking, professionalism, experience in order to secure a space at the table with President Trump, the most powerful leader in the world. The fact that President Boakai was at that table itself and in and of itself is a diplomatic coup. And I think that is important to point that out. And I think it's also important to give kudos to Madam Minister Sarah Baslow from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Just a few weeks ago, we saw Liberia being elected to the Security Council. Now we see our president, President Boakai, having a roundtable discussion with President Trump. I think that those are very serious diplomatic coups, and we should point that out. Now, onto the particular events. Liberians within the, history says 43,000 square miles of this country, we think very highly of ourselves, and we should. However, outside of these 43,000 square miles, not a lot of people know us. Not a lot of people are aware of Liberia beyond the history of these free slaves and the founding of a beacon for liberation in Africa. Beyond that, not a lot of people know us. And some of us who have spent time in the US before will tell you most times outside of the populated African zones, but into deeper America, Midwest, and other places, When you say you're Liberian, they will ask you Nigerian. Liberian, they will go again, Nigerian. So it's not a lot of people that know about us. And therefore, when President Trump, after hearing President Boyka speak, and of course, a lot of the African stereotypes about how people speak, the accent, and all of those things, I'm sure he was honestly surprised that this level of fluency was coming out of Africa. And for me, I think particularly that's just to deal with the fluff, firstly, because I consider all this hoopla about, President Trump's complimenting President Boyka, I consider that as the fluff, because there's some real issues there that we can talk about. To deal with the fluff, I think that was a very honest comment from President Trump, who was incredibly surprised that having met a lot of African leaders, and our accent is not a bad thing, but of course, that level of fluency and the way in which he spoke, very cadenced, of course, surprised him. And it was an honest compliment. And I think Nigerians should take pride in that, detract from it. But finally, before I go, I know the opening comments are a bit expansive. Finally, before I go on the opening comments, in these meetings, people expect that, those who are not as experienced and have not followed public diplomacy before, they think they're going to open a discussion about the real issues that matter. By the time they're having these meetings, itemized issues have been selected. And post these meetings, conversations are going to be had about where economic cooperation is going to happen. So do expect to see this opening comments for now.
Okay. So we'll come back to you. Thank you for your opening comment. Let's try to hear from Mr. Jacob Jala. Mr. Jala has joined us also. Let's welcome you, Mr. Jala, and hear your opening comment.
Yes, thank you. Sabah, thanks for the opportunity to be on your panel today. I'll basically just say that it is an absolute honor to be here and to contribute to the hot button issues of our time, the current affairs issues of our time. The president visit to the U.S. is front and center of the agenda here today. I don't know whether I can now start to cut to the chase on that, but basically basically
your takeaway from the launch, the statement made by the president during the launch with the U.S. President Donald Trump. I'm sure you listened to the video. You saw the video. You listened to the president. Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, I think whatever the president said was nothing spectacular as far as I'm concerned. This is all part of the diplomatic niceties that goes on. The president, of course, welcomed the opportunity to say to the U.S. president, Washington, D.C. I didn't see anything fundamentally dramatic about that. I think it's as normal as drinking a bottle of beer, on a normal day. I don't think anything particular can be picked from that. At least other than the comment about our mineral resources, for example. I don't know what was the particular strategic value in referencing Liberia's mineral resources and asking for maybe a more survey of our mineral resources. I don't know whether that reference play any particular strategic diplomatic, whether it has any diplomatic essence. Maybe as we go into the detail of the meeting, once we start to come up, we will now probably see the connection, because I don't think the president was just randomly picking words. I think they must have been connected in some sense, and making particular reference to Liberia mineral resources, particularly possibly is connected to our strategic reasons why we're in Washington, D.C. Again, we will get to see a lot more detail as we move on. But I think if it is around our resources, I have my own views about how we have to position ourselves as a country, and being very, very careful as a society not to situate the Liberian state or the Liberian nation as some kind of wasted land that is available for the exploitation of mineral resources. I think that is a very downgraded approach to national consciousness, national transformation, and this is my view. And I think that if we want to talk about a society, we want to talk about transformation of a country, I think we're way more than just being a vast pit or valley where a set of countries or business people can come and start digging for mineral resources here and there. I think we have a more dynamic vision we can sell as a country. Of course, we have tourism. We're a country that can provide all sorts of value to the world in agriculture in other areas. I'm not a big fan of mineral exploitation. I think it's a very narrow-minded approach to development and transformation. I think there are other sustainable areas we can focus on as a country. But I think that, when politicians get, for me, that's politicians get maybe lazy and short-sighted. They say, oh, let's go to mineral exploit and extract. But we don't really get the value from all of those things. So again, that's just my view about that.
Okay. So let's also hear from Mr. David Cody, his opening comment, and then we'll come to Reverend Dr. Chris Cho of the Council of Churches. Mr. Cody, let's hear your opening comment.
Well, thank you for inviting me once again on this great platform. I'm always happy to be here. And let me say good evening to Mr. George Kennedy, Mr. Moses Sunday, Mr. Jala, and to my good friend, Councillor Balbala. Councillor Balbala, let me say to you, I'm not surprised at your eloquence and high education, good education. In Liberia, we say like father, like son. Your father was a very good friend of mine. I knew him very well. And you remind me of him. Very, very eloquent. Now,
Thank you.
coming to the compliments by Donald Trump about our president, there's something called dialectic idiosyncrasy, where some people speak, and we the London people, you hear us say, but may I answer you for wrong? Wrong time, no fee. Dialectic idiosyncrasy. English is mixed with the dialect. The same thing with many African people, African leaders. So this president has listened to other African leaders, he listened to others. The compliment was genuine. It was no fake thing like I heard some people say it was an insult. It's no insult. It's a compliment to our president. And so I think there will be something good coming from the meeting. As we go on with our discussion, I will have a lot to say. But if you permit me to just go back a little bit to the discussion on Monday, please, just quickly. I listened to you on Monday and I decided. You want me to go back to that, please, just for 1 minute?
No, we'll talk about that. I think your opening comment is okay. Let's hear from Reverend Dr. To, Chief Scrap, Secretary General of the Liberal Council of Churches. Let's hear your opening comment as well.
Thank you very much, Soba, and it's a pleasure to be back on the night heat. I appreciate my colleague, Josh Kennedy, one of my former students, and he tried to continue to keep the lifeline of journalism, at a good pace, and I want to commend you for that. And to all the other colleagues, I'll say to you, thank you for being there also. But I think listening to President Boakai, President Boakai recognizes America's new move from aid to trade, and that should be highly noted. And so he presented Liberia's own plan and interest in dealing with this whole issue of trade, and how he introduces the whole matter of the survey. That Liberia, we have a lot of resources, and we from our survey, and we think we are prepared for the trade. And I think it was a good move. It was a good diplomatic move for our country. However, with regard to the whole issue of Donald Trump and acknowledgement of our president, eloquence or of his speech or his language, I think it is acceptable almost everywhere. Even when you go to the United States, at times when you speak, people make reference to that maybe you have accent. And this is noted almost everywhere. So I don't think it's a big show. It's a issue of commendation and recognition. So
I think that's my opening comment on this.
Okay. Many thanks. Listeners and viewers who want to share the show, just share the show so that your friends, your relatives, and loved ones can also follow on what is happening tonight on the Nighttime Heat. Again, if you see your phone or your laptop, just go to where they have the search and you tap Nighttime Heat. You're going to follow the show. Likewise, your YouTube, just go to where they have the search and you tap Nighttime Heat. As soon as you do so, you're going to follow, you're going to subscribe, and then you hit the notification bell so that anytime the show comes on, you get the notification. We are also streaming live on Prime FM Monrovia 105.5. This program is being relayed by Radio Gagema in Nima, Radio Patika in Bronx, and of course Radio Wodogisi in Lofa. We are also being relayed by Witness FM in Monrovia. Now, let's go into the specifics. Again, let me begin with Councillor Kanu Baba. You listen to yes.
So
okay.
Bring you
yes. Okay. Yes, I wanted to bring you in later on. Please, just let me just learn.
Yeah, I just wanted to say something briefly with reference to
quickly
the compliment. I reside in the United States. I'm a naturalized citizen of the United States. Colleagues, I want to welcome all of you. Honestly, as a naturalized American, I'm disappointed, extremely disappointed that the president of the World War today opted to denigrate African leaders. The statement from President Trump to say that, hey, Mr. Buckeye, you speak good English. Where did you learn English from? It was not a compliment. It was condescending. It was disrespectful. I heard some people say, well, you know, most people do not know.
Most of you be deported.
No, I'm a citizen. I'm a citizen. America respect free speech. I'm a citizen of this country.
Go ahead.
What I'm saying here is that President Trump literally insulted President Bouakai and the other African leaders. And let me tell you this. I heard Councillor Carnio Bada say, well, President Trump and the others may have little or no information about Liberia. Councillor, I beg to differ with you. When you are president, when you are in leadership position before these high-profile meetings are held, you have a research team to provide you basic information on all the countries, the people you have been meeting, and you go to these meetings prepared. Our people did not go to meet with President Trump, you know, to get praises for how they talk. Liberia and America have a long-standing relationship. English is our first language, even though we speak with an African accent. So I think the president of President Trump was being disrespectful to tell our president that where did you learn English from? President Trump came from this stereotype that Africans, that people outside of the United States are idiots. He was shocked. He was shocked that an African was so eloquent, so fluent, and he could not bear it. But to ask him an embarrassing question, where did you learn English from? That was absolutely wrong. That's not a compliment. It's a stereotype that we just not good. We don't do anything good. I was speaking to you. In the United States, I go to some meetings when I'm talking to Americans who even report to me. Some of them will ask me, oh, sir, you have an African accent. Where do you come from? And I'll tell them, look, when you go to Liberia and you speak, they will tell you that you have an American accent. I come from Liberia, West Africa. So that was not a compliment. It was an insult.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, Moses, thank you. Let's start with Councilor Kano Barak. Councilor Barak, maybe you want to first pick on what Moses has just said, so we can go into all the specifics regarding the discussion. Because I just wanted to ask you first about the statement made by Jacob Jara that there was nothing spectacular, and the issue of mineral exploration is just it's a matter of approach. But maybe you want to first pick on what Moses said earlier. Councilor Bala, let's begin with you.
Well, thank you, Sobo. I maintain that President Trump's statement was a genuine compliment of President Boakai. I think it's important to see it that way. And I don't only speak like this based on, at least to some extent, my understanding of diplomacy, but also from a very personal experience, personal experiences. I mean, going to school in the U.S., interacting with folks from the U.S. and from the West and other people that come from other countries. Most times they don't expect us, particularly even coming from Liberia, to be as articulate as we are. And sometimes they are surprised, genuinely surprised. I think that it is wrong to start to impute motives, especially when a genuine comment comes. If you go back to what President Trump said, he said, you speak good English. Then he came back and said, it's a beautiful language. Because as an African, let's be honest, naturally, even when we go to school in Liberia, English is not our first language. Let's be honest. It may be the lingua franca that we use to conduct business. But most people, you're born in the villages and you're born speaking Kran, Gio, Mandingo, Vai, Loma. Those are the first languages you learn. And then you go to school and you start to learn how to speak English and understand verbal tenses. The fact that we can even communicate at this level is something for someone to marvel at. And so I maintain, I see no disrespect in President Trump's compliment. I see no denigration in his compliment. I see no means little Africans. On the contrary, I think President Trump was genuinely surprised to listen to that level of fluency, knowing that President Boakai was an African and he communicated very well. That said, the point you raised about Comrade Jala's observation, and then
I'm coming, Moses. You respond. Okay, Mr. Cody. No, one minute. Yeah. Mr. 1 minute. Let Councilor Bala land quickly.
Yeah.
No, before he goes to actual, let's go back to the compliment.
Elder Sanders.
You're talking about the compliment, Mr. David. Let's listen to Kanu first.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I want to hypothesize, right? I want to hypothesize that probably Elder Sanders' opinion about this quote-unquote denigration, which I don't see, by the way, from President Trump, is probably because of his lived experience as a Black American in the U.S. And there's racism there. There's a lot of disrespect there. And you have been naturalized, you live, you work there, so you've experienced some at some point in time. But don't transmit this into what is apparently honest compliment from President Trump. I think it's very honest. Now, to Jala's point about nothing spectacular happening over there, I didn't expect to see anything spectacular. And I don't know why would anyone want to see something spectacular at a diplomatic meeting of that nature. You know what was spectacular? When the Ukrainian president appeared and all of the things that transpired during that meeting, that was spectacular. And clearly, it wasn't the sort of meeting that diplomats would expect key takeaways. In our case, our president, in a very articulate manner, drew praise for President Trump and said, look, we are here for economic governance. We are here for commercial friendship. These are the things we see that your government, your administration is prioritizing in your interaction with Africa. I think that's the whole idea we should be looking at. And to expect that meeting would have been where you find documentation being signed, agreement being reached, I think it's a little pedestrian. I think we need to appreciate how diplomatic speak works and how these meetings are structured in terms of what the output is supposed to be. Now, the next step, the derivative step from this meeting is going to have, teams of technicians now sit down and say, where are the areas upon which we can collaborate? How can we solidify these broad talking points into actionable steps that our countries can collaborate around? For example, President Boyka said, look, we have minerals here in our country. And that's one thing Liberians continue to say. We say we are rich in minerals, but poor in terms of every other rubric, infrastructure, education, etc. But one thing I believe, and this may have informed President Boyka's position, one thing we have not done is to do a proper inventory of the so-called minerals upon which we claim we are rich every day. We've been depleting it since the 1930s, since the 1900s, 1926, when Firestone came with rubber, Lamco, iron ore, all of these places depleting natural resources. And so President Boyka said, look, let's do an inventory of what we have. And therefore, based on your professed economic governance approach, as well as commercial friendship, we can forge partnerships and build from there. I think that's what that platform is made for to have those kinds of conversations. Then post the platform, we can go into the specifics. So no, Jala, don't expect to see groundbreaking information at that level. No, those things are left for the technicians to handle before the other agreements are signed subsequently.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So David Cody, you can come in now.
Okay, thank you. What you could do for us tonight, Saba, is to please open your lines maybe for 10 minutes before we close today. Ask the Liberian people. You took few calls first, but this time ask them just about the companies, nothing else. And hear what they're going to say. I'm going to tell you, 99.9% of the Liberian people will tell you President Trump's comments about our president was a compliment, nothing else. Nothing else. I think, and coming to what Mr. Jala said, and what I don't even want to repeat what Councilor Bala has said. I think I'm in line with him. The point is that was just an opening meeting. The real deal is going to be done later on by the expertise who are there. So let's not waste some time to talk about what's not spectacular or this. It's going to be okay. The meetings will continue, not just from the meeting they had today. There will be meetings after the meeting today.
Okay.
Deals will be signed. Yeah.
Okay, deals will be signed. You speaking as if you are there. Let's hear from you, Jacob. Mr. Jala. Mr. Jala? Oh, wow, he's mute. Okay, let's hear from you, Reverend Toll, Reverend Dr. Toll.
Okay, thank you, Saba. Thank you again. And I think most of my colleagues have already made the point on this issue. And as I was saying, reflecting on the whole issue from aid to trade, Liberia has a lot of resources, natural resources. And I had the opportunity to meet with the Mines and Energy Minister, reflecting on the kind of resources we had and the value of the resources. And so you need to be able to count on them and know their value in order to sell yourself economically in terms of marketing. So I think our country, our president was trying to sell Liberia to the world, not only to Donald Trump, but to sell Liberia to the world. And Liberia, is an asset. We may be underdeveloped, but we have an asset that we can bring value to the table. And there are a lot of things that you need that we have. And so you can take, you can take advantage of that and move forward as a country. So trade, as you're talking about trade, now let's move in this partnership in trade, that look at the whole issue of the commercialization of the whole process, and take advantage of it, and look at partnership in moving forward and not sponsorship.
Okay. Yes.
So I'm back. My microphone is working now.
Okay. Yes. We're asking for your reactions. You listen to Councilor Kanu Bada.
Okay. So the first thing is You asked me a clear question. You asked me a question about my reaction to the video you played. And I gave you my reaction to the video you played. You didn't ask me about what will subsequently happen in the coming days with Donald Trump. That was not the question. And I think Kanyo and David Koto are trying to tell us what will happen subsequently, but I was not responding. That was not your question. Your question was about the clip that was played, and I share my view on the clip. Okay. So I know there will be diplomatic meetings. No, let me finish, please. I know there will be diplomatic meetings, but that was not the question. I didn't want to answer a question you didn't ask me. So I answered the question and responded to the question you asked me. That's one. Two, I mean, I would just like to make my 1 second point maybe about Mr. Sandy's point about Donald Trump comment being condescending and all of that. For some, I think I don't buy that. I think that, for example, English, it's not our native tongue, right? It's not our native tongue at all. So, but Donald Trump is a native English speaker. So a native English speaker, it's fair, it's genuine to see a native English speaker feeling a little bit surprised with the extent of quality of English coming from a non-native English speaker. Joseph Boakai, myself, all of us here, we are non-native speaker of the English language. So if we do well at a language that is not our mother tongue, then somebody whose mother tongue is able to speak English, I think it's genuine for them to be surprised. It's like Donald Trump coming to Liberia and speaking a degree of good Bassa in compound number 2. The Bassa will say, oh, wow, you know, your Bassa is good. It doesn't mean that the Bassa is looking down. Donald Trump, Bassa is not a native tongue for Donald Trump. So I don't see why people, you know, try to think that, you know, Donald Trump condescended. I don't think so. Me to have a little bit of time in the US and you see non-native English because, oh, your English is good. For me, I don't think that to be a problem because I already know that I'm non-native speaker of the English language. So that's my point on that.
Okay. Now, gentlemen, one would think that the U.S. President Donald Trump was very honest with his showering of praises on President Boakai for the quality of English, on grounds that before President Boakai spoke, there were other leaders that spoke, like the president of Mauritania, Gabon, Senegal, they all spoke. And Donald Trump didn't react in the way he reacted when President Boakai spoke. Do you see a firm honesty on the part of President Donald Trump? Let me hear from one of my panelists, Moses Sandy.
Yeah, look, Sabbath, it's good that you raised this. The president had in his audience other African leaders from other parts of the world. And he come to say, your English is good. Where did you learn English from? And this is what I'd like to say to the counselor and the rest of you who see this as a compliment. Whenever people speak or when people look at subject matters, we all come from what? Different perspectives. My perspective is that the president was being condescending. That wasn't necessary. All he needed to do, treat our people with all due courtesy to say that, hey, your English is better as compared to the others. It comes from this stereotype that for the fact that we are Africans, we are quote unquote idiots and nothing good can come from us. You went in there with this, let me complete my thoughts. So he went in there with this closed mind. And when President Boakai spoke, that was a shocker for him. But that wasn't necessary to ask our president, where did you learn English from? If he knows the history of Liberia, he knows that, yes, English is indeed our official language, even though we speak English with an African accent. It wasn't necessary. So another person could say, well, the president was being applauded. So be it. Let us not debate this. Let us understand that we're coming from what? Subjective perspectives. The counselor has his view. I have mine, you have your Koti has his. Let's take it as it is. We all have different perspectives. That's what democracy is about. That's what free speech is about. You can't compare me to say, oh yeah, because you say this is okay, then it means I should also go along. No, I have the right to my opinion. Thank you.
Well, it seems I will take over the moderation of the show since Sobo seems
Someone in microphone fighting.
So I think I will take over from here to continue to steer this ship in the proper direction.
But man, English now, the president monitor is PC. So he tried.
I think we had network problem, you know.
Okay. Yes, good. Yes, Moses. So you are speaking.
No, Moses landed. So
yeah, so quickly, I was just quickly saying that we all spoke on this subject matter. We all came from different perspectives. That's what we do in academia. You know,
Okay.
when the subject issue, when the issue comes out, we don't say so, say one, so say all. We look at the subject matter from different perspectives. That's what makes it interesting. Thank
Okay,
you.
Moses. Thank you, Moses. Any final comments from the both of you, so we can go to the next discussion to transition from what we heard from the president. Yes.
It is also good when something is factual for you to get convinced and say, yes, I think I accept this. It's honesty. It's good for us to practice that.
Okay.
Because, I mean, if other people bring their perspectives and you see that what they're saying about a particular topic makes sense, it's honest enough for us to say, yes, okay, let's move forward.
Okay. So, gentlemen, let's try to transition now from.
So quickly, Mr. Kennedy, I beg to disagree with you. When you talk about factual, when you talk about truthful, what you're talking about? You're discussing a subject matter that is debatable. So where's the fact? What fact do you have to say that the compliment or the statement that came from Mr. Trump to President Walker is based on fact? Where's the fact?
The fact is, when President Trump went vocal with President Zelensky, that wasn't the case with President
But that is not
Biden.
a comparison. No, that's not a comparison. We're talking about someone saying you speak better English as compared to others, and you're talking about facts. Everybody on this panel here, let's just tell you guys the facts. Where are the facts?
Oh,
Can you provide the facts?
Look, you see,
Okay.
your opinion, if your opinion doesn't align with others' opinion, I don't know how 5 or 6 people will be here to saying the same thing you say no. So that's it. That's your opinion. As you say, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you know.
So gentlemen, let's try to transition. I know we all listen to the tape and we've already made our points.
There's a several one Goria among the panelists. Go on, Goria.
No, sometimes that's what make our show very interesting. We agree and disagree. And
Okay.
I'm simply telling my colleague, look, sometimes when the facts are glaring, you try to accept.
Okay,
That's
George, you made the point. Let's try to transition. Councillor Kanu Bagbala and the rest of you, before President Boyka traveled, there was this whole issue regarding, debate regarding the deal signed with HPX. The deal was signed on Sunday. In fact, what we heard and read, journalists were invited initially to cover the signing ceremony. Unfortunately, when the journalists converged, again, they were asked to stay out of the venue. In fact, they were barred from entering the signing ceremony hall. And so the speculations came that the government signed the deal. And for the next 24 hours, there was absolutely no confirmation from the government or no president from the government that it has signed this deal with the HPX. until a day after the U.S. Embassy released a press statement thanking the government for signing the $1.8 billion deal. And then after the following day was when the government came up through the Ministry of Information confirming that they signed the deal. Now, what sort of optics you think that going to give the entire way that the government handled this whole signing of the deal with HPX? Let's begin with you, Kadri Bagbara. That's it.
No, Saba, please, just 1 minute, please. I beg you, 1 minute.
Well,
I beg you, Saba, 1 minute. Saba, Councillor, just 1 minute. Yeah, can I go ahead?
Yes, go ahead, David. Go ahead, David.
Thank you. Right. Councillor Bala is our lawyer. He will come and put cap on the entire thing. Let me just say something briefly. Last night, Monday, Saba, I listened to you when you used a statement by saying the deal was done, the signing was done under the cover of darkness. Let me just inform you.
I was done. I said we're saying it from newspaper reports.
No, you were saying it. No, but you didn't put any newspaper
reports because I was not there, so I can say it was signed under the cover of darkness. Newspaper reported the day after the signing. On Monday, newspapers reported that. So we're quoting newspapers.
Okay, but then those newspapers don't know how government works in Liberia or maybe in other places. Let me just say this. As a former lawmaker, what I do know is that according to the 1986 Constitution, the president or the executive has the right to negotiate and sign a deal. It has to be ratified by the legislature. So there was nothing like under the cover of darkness or it was wrong. I listen to many people say the same thing, but those people must understand that the law gives the executive the power to negotiate. Even as a meta steel we're talking about today, in 2005, there was a Junior Bryan administration that negotiated in 2005 and signed before it went to the legislature. And when I hear people say, we didn't know anything about it, well, the Liberian people did not know. No, the time for you to know is when it gets to the legislature. Those are your eyes, your feet, your hands. Once the paper gets to it, it means that it has gotten to you. So the lawyer will talk, he knows more about this thing than me. I just wanted to make that clear. Nothing was done under the cover of any darkness. It was done in the
before the lawyer comes, so let me go to Jacob Jara. Jacob, you follow the drama that surrounded the signing of the HPX deal.
Oh yeah. I followed. It was in the public domain, and yeah. So what specifically you want to know about it from me?
Okay, so the point is the deal was signed just a day before the president left. In addition, it was signed, according to media reports, secretly under the cover of darkness because media institutions were invited, but unfortunately they were banned from covering the signing ceremony. So the next day, which was on Monday, they all speculated that the deal was signed. Until then, during that time, the government didn't come up with any press statement until the U.S. Embassy came up to congratulate the government. It was after the U.S. Embassy came up, it was when the government came up to hold a press conference to confirm the signing of the deal. But initially, the government remained tight-lipped.
Yeah, sure. I think that's a good narration. Basically, I believe that what happened. But maybe the question now was there anything wrongful about that? Maybe not, I don't know. But of course, the HPX thing has been. No,
let's put it into perspective. Again, let me explain. The deal was signed, according to media reports, secretly, right? That was on Monday because it was signed on Sunday. Despite the media reports, the government didn't come up with any press statement
until Tuesday.
Until the U.S. Embassy came up with a press statement commending the government. So after the U.S. Embassy came up with the statement, it was when the government then came up with their own press statement confirming the signing of the deal.
Yes. So what's the problem now?
Was it what the way the government handled? Well, it didn't react to the speculations. It didn't say anything about that. It didn't release any press statement until the U.S. embassy came. Is that the proper way that government handles those sort of major agreements?
Okay, so I will probably handle it differently, because this is a huge, because you're talking about $1.8 billion size in investment portfolio, structure of the investment. That's a big one. So I would think that there will be a great degree of information and openness about it. So I don't know why the government, I don't understand the government tactical approach to this, allowing the U.S. Embassy to comment first before coming down. Because the reason why this issue is slightly difficult to discuss is because we really don't know the detail of the deal. I mean, anyone else know here, they may enlighten us. We don't know the detail of the deal. We don't know what's all in it. We don't know whether the government or President Boakai and his government has fully and adequately protected the general interests of the Liberian people in everything that's going on. So again, we're anxious and very eager to know the specifics and the detail of the report, of the deal, so that we can start to talk about it now. One clear point I would like to make as an observer, about all things Liberia when it comes to SPX, Ivanhoe, Mittal Steel, and the whole real infrastructure that the country, of course, owns, but of course, ArcelorMittal has some degree of access to under their mineral development agreement. Now, it has been a very sticky matter for a long time. And we know even the George Weah administration wrestled with the matter. We've heard about Treasury sanction around involvement of some public officials around some $37 million funds from HPX and all of that. Now, again, we'll be anxious to see the detail of the deal because we know that under the mineral development agreement with ArcelorMittal, they have got a degree of access to this real infrastructure. And the understanding that SPS will let to have access to that infrastructure so that they can transport their iron ore from the Samudu mine across Liberia onto the port of Buchanan. So it is so difficult maybe for me to speak on it because we will just vaguely speculate at this moment because we don't know the detail of the deal. But I think we're looking anxiously forward to what the fine line of that agreement says.
Yeah. But okay, but before I come in, okay, yes, Moses.
Okay, look, quickly, I just want to say that, look, as a country, we all want our country to succeed. We want Liberians to benefit. We want our people to have employment opportunities. But one thing that we have to learn to do as a people is to consistently be honest with our political leaders. And that's one of the challenges we have in our country. We celebrate people even when they are in error. We tell them, oh yeah, that's okay. We provide all the justification. That's why the white men call enabling. When you support people in doing the wrong thing, that's what most of our people do consistently. We understand that the executive has the legal authority to enter into contracts, to sign concession agreement. That is not debatable. And there's no law that says, hey, a contract cannot be signed on a weekend. We do not have such law. However, as a government that came under the umbrella or under the canopy of being what? Transparent, you signing a deal of $1.8 billion and you do that in secrecy? You did not say anything about it? The information emanated from a foreign embassy and somebody is justifying that? Oh yeah, what's the problem with that? Of course there is a problem with that. We have a history in our country. When the Liberian government signs contracts, you guys live in Liberia. I don't live there. But when the Liberian government signs contracts, every information is in the public domain. They tell you, oh, tomorrow we'll do this. We did this yesterday. You never spoke. It took the American embassy to let the public know. And former Representative Koti, you justifying that? It beats my imagination.
Okay, Moses, you made a point, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes, I did.
Let's hear from you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Go right ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think when our leaders, our government does that what is right, we should commend them. If they are in error, we should be able to say to them, you are in error. And I think to not be transparent at this time was an error. And so there should be an admission of error that was done. Even if you listen to even executives, the Minister of Mines and that of the Minister of Information. So Liberians are not against any good thing that has come to the country. This deal discussion has been over about 18 months. So it's not just, just speaking up. So if it comes to the conclusion to where it will be signed, I don't think it should be secret. It has to do with the benefit of the Liberian people. The product of that deal that benefits the Liberian people, we all will it. But when it's not done properly, it's not done at all. So if it was done on Sunday, no matter what day it was done on a Monday, the government should have informed us. It should not be coming from another source. Let us call spade a spade. When the error, we should admit that the error. That was an error. We are not talking about the good product that come out. We are talking about the procedure, the process. Did they go through the right process? Did they inform us? That's what we're talking about. And so, as faith institution, this is an error, and they should be able to admit that there's an error and apologize to the Liberian people. Thank you.
Okay, Councilor Bala.
Yeah, thank you, Sobo. I've listened to those Elder Sandy and my own brother, the man of God, Reverend Toole, speaking about errors and things that are wrong and lacking of transparency. I think it's important for us to look at things in very clear context. When we say that there is a lack of transparency, I want to believe that our argument is that there is a deliberate process or deliberate attempts to obscure or to keep in hiding information from the public. In governance terms, when we say there is an error, we're more or less saying that some rules or procedures or policies or ordinances whatsoever that mandate a certain type of behavior was not followed. And because it was not followed, there is an error. Okay. These are not things that we use just in relative terms. And the reason I'm citing this because for me to come to a conclusion that there was a lack of transparency, one has to disclose what is the framework that compels or advises such transparency that has been violated. And maybe, this is my legalistic thinking, and maybe that's why I'm looking at it from a different prism. But before I can say there's a lack of transparency, there has to be a framework upon which that mandates transparency that has not been followed. That's the first thing. The second thing for me to say that somebody has behaved erroneously, there must be another framework that also defines what is rightful conduct. And you will see that is why, Jacob, I wouldn't say struggled, but continued to question what was the basis for you interrogating him about the nature of the publicity of this agreement. because you were trying to ask him to say what is wrong with the way the information came to the public. And he could not find anything tangibly wrong with that. And that's why he struggled, and he kept interrogating and saying, what is it that you are asking me? What exactly do you want to know? All right. It's clear for everyone to, and we can all agree upon that. No laws were broken. No procedures were violated. None whatsoever. And I stand to be challenged. If somebody can show me the letter of the law that was violated in the process of how this agreement was signed, I stand by to eat my words. But clearly, no law has been broken.
Councillor, let me challenge you quickly. Councillor, let me challenge you quickly.
May I end, please? Sober, I'm still speaking. May I end, please?
Okay, Councillor, I just wanted to challenge you quickly and provide information for you.
You can challenge me, Elder. But while I'm in speech, it's important for me to maintain this thought, this line of thought. All right? And as I maintained from the beginning, right? For you to start to argue erroneous conduct or conduct that's lacking transparency, there has to be a framework, either legal, procedural, or regulatory framework that mandates a particular conduct. I don't see any such that were violated. In fact, if we go back to that regulatory framework, like Elder Kuti shared, the PPCC Act is there, the Constitution is there. The other regulations concerning the signing of concessions, they are all there. They authorized the executive to sign. They went ahead and signed, and that's all they did. Right after the signing on Sunday, on Monday, another entity was very quick to move onto social media and to disclose the information. So are you saying because the entity disclosed the information before the government or Liberia, they didn't get to social media, even though the government also held a press conference, I believe almost on the same day, on the next day, that there is something wrong? But I don't fault you. I'm only trying to point out what is right and what is within the ambit of the law. But I don't fault you. The reason I don't fault you is because the way we've done governance. And maybe that is why we ought to.
Councillor, may I just come in? I think you have spoken enough.
I'm still speaking, please. And Sober,
you have spoken enough.
Moses, let's give our guests. Let me protect my guests quickly. Go ahead, Councillor.
To take us off tangent. I'm on a path here, and these frequent interruptions, continue to take me off this path that I'm on.
Oh, please, you have to listen now.
No, but I think, like I said, no laws broken, nothing wrong. If you may ask me, this is.
Let me ask you a question, Councillor. Before Councillor, let me ask you a question. Before Moses. No, I want to ask you the question. So there was no law broken. There are no procedural errors. There's nothing at all. Yes, Councillor. Councillor, do you think it was proper on the part of a government that espouses and promotes transparency and accountability to have signed a deal outside of the press, and then after speculation came, the government still remained tight-lipped until the U.S. government had to release a press statement? Following the U.S. government press statement was when the next day the government took in of a press statement confirming. Do you think it was proper for a government that espouses that high degree of transparency?
Well, let me double back again and rehash some of the things I said, because I believe they respond so very adequately to the point that you're raising. Okay. This agreement, as we're hearing, was signed on Sunday. The American government came to social media, I believe, on Monday. The same Monday, leading to Tuesday, the government of Liberia also.
No, Tuesday. No. The US embassy came on late Monday evening.
I don't know who is more disruptive, because at the end of the day, I'm not.
I'm only trying to correct you. I'm trying to correct you, Councillor.
Yes, I'm giving you a rough timeline.
Let me take on a Councillor. Councillor, you have to error.
Let him land.
Yeah, but the
I
councillor
believe
has
I should be
spoken enough.
allowed. Well, given that I'm the guest here, I believe I should be allowed.
Yes, go ahead and learn. Then Moses can come in.
To lay my thoughts. Okay. Now, that said, right? No laws broken, no regulations broken, no policies broken, no ordinances broken that anybody can point to. So, in essence, nothing was violated legally. The only issue that has arisen in this particular debacle is the fact that the government, people make it seem like it was a race to disclose. And in that race, the American government ran ahead of the Liberian government and disclosed. And so now the Liberian government must pay a price for being the second person to disclose. If I may consign that, add some nomenclature, I may just call it a gaffe at most. But to say that something is patently wrong, I beg to differ. Beyond
What's the interpretation of the gaffe?
A gaffe is a gaffe at most. Now, let me say,
I'm asking what's the interpretation of the gaffe?
What I was concluding on, right, is that this is also when I was saying to Elder Sandy and others who say there is
Councillor, you have spoken enough, but you allow us the opportunity to speak. You challenge us to.
Councillor, because we have to open our lands.
Wow. Because look, I sat here, Elder Sandy spoke twice ahead of me.
No, but Councillor, you are rambling continuously. Let's provide the information.
Okay, please, Moses, let the councillor land. Councillor Cannon land.
Yeah, and now, it keeps taking me off tangent, but I will struggle to come back and conclude on this point, right? Like I said, no laws broken here, And some these people are scared that he wants to derail me. No laws broken here. Let's leave that alone. Now, what is happening here? I think there is something deeply, what is manifesting is how we've done governance. This race to show in the public glare that we have achieved something by governments. The advent of social media and the way social media has now pushed all of us. Every minute, when even you see government ministers nowadays, when there are high-level meetings, 2 minutes later, those meetings are publicized on their various Facebook pages and the pages of the entities that they work for. I remember when I used to work for the UN, at one point in time, we had a social media policy, and it came straight down from HQ. You have meetings in the community, there are major issues, post on social media. People need to see what we are doing. I believe it is this appetite for information fueled by social media presence that now has everybody saying, the minute something happens, let it be out there. And I think it's a good thing. We run an open government, and so information should be readily available. And so that's why I will classify at best what transpired in that race to declare. Right?
So, Councillor, may I just come in now?
Okay, Moses can come in now. Moses can come in.
Councillor. Councillor. Councillor, please.
I see Jacob.
Okay, Councillor.
Because he said,
yes, go ahead.
Okay, Councillor. Look, let me publicly acknowledge that you have conceded defeat. You have conceded that you are in the wrong. The example you gave regarding the United Nations that you previously worked for, when the directive was handed down, that whenever we do something, the information must be thrown to the public. That has just further justified the argument we are making that as a government, that is fighting, let me complete my thoughts. As a government that is trying to rebuild, as Councillor, a government that is trying to rebuild the economy of the country. Councillor, you telling me you signed a deal value $1.8 million on a weekend. $1 billion on a weekend. You kept quiet. You didn't speak about it. It took a foreign embassy to come and tell your people that, hey, this is what we did Sunday. Then you came on Tuesday, and Councillor, you're talking about transparency. What does it mean to be transparent? It means what?
You're missing the
Being
book.
open.
Mr. Sandy, you're missing
No,
the book.
no. Yeah, Councillor, Mr. Cote, can you just give me a moment? When you use the
but
word transparent, Mr. Cote, Mr. Cote, please. We're all courtesy, sir. We're all courtesy. We're all courtesy.
Yeah,
Let me just complete my thought. Please.
No, upon a correction quickly. You're continuing. Upon a correction. Upon a
Okay,
correction.
go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
All right. When Councillor Bala was saying that when he was at the UN, they said whenever they did anything issue, the people should be informed. That's the same thing we're saying here. The people were being informed through your representation. Nothing was wrong here. Nothing was wrong.
Honorable Cote, quickly. The councillor said the directive was that it must be reported with immediacy. It didn't say take 2 days. When things happen today, the people must know today. And that did not happen in this case. And the councillor used the word transparency. Representative, the councillor used the word transparency. When we say transparent, we're talking about what? Being open. No secrecy about it. You concluded a contract value 1.8 billion United States dollars that has the propensity of improving the lives of the people of Liberia, and you said nothing about it. Doesn't that contradict the word transparency? Councillor, is this how you're going to plead for us in court? Councillor? Is this how you're going to plead for us in court, Councillor?
Can you imagine that?
About what? No law broken, no law broken, no process. There's no problem with process. Councillor, you live in Liberia. You work in government. When all of your top contracts were signed during the CDC administration, did you not invite the media?
The heat.
Councillor, did you not invite the media? Did you not do that openly? Councillor, I beg to differ. I'm not a student of law.
So, Councillor,
yes.
Moses, I like to put myself in the middle.
Yeah, my brother, go ahead. Josh, go ahead.
Moses, as a journalist, I said it on Monday, and I still going to repeat myself. The idea of signing the agreement any day of the week I support it. But the idea of keeping the media out for more than 24 hours from providing details of the deal, I think that was a mistake. There was no law broken when it comes to laws on the book, Councillor. But I thought that it's necessary for the sake of transparency. First of all, you invited the media on Saturday to go and cover this process. You cancel the signing ceremony from Saturday to another day, which they didn't even know. Later, you sign on Sunday. For me, I said before that because I know that I will go to the legislature, I see no fraud, I see no crime committed, but I thought that for the sake of transparency, the fourth estate should have been present there to witness the signing, ask some questions, take some pictures, and publish it. That will have sent a better image for that process and for the.
That would have addressed the issue of transparency.
Yeah. Councillor, that's
yeah, George, you are 100% right, my brother. George, you are 100% right. That would have been an excellent PR for this administration.
Okay, Moses, let us hear the next speaker quickly.
Yeah, and Sober, and I think
Yes,
let us close on this to admit. That's what we're talking about. Admission to the wrong, admission to the right is important for our democracy. So let us admit when we know we err. We have talked to some people in government, they know that they err. So we should not be here on the show trying to sugarcoat this. Some people have made error. When it's an error, admit that you made error and move forward. So this is an issue of error.
There's no error here to admit. There is no error here to admit to. Nothing was broken. Nothing was wrong. No
there was an error to not inform the Liberian people. There was an error to not inform the Liberian people.
Your senator and representative inform you. There was no error. No law was broken. No law was broken. No.
Okay.
No law was broken. And let me tell you this.
No, we're
What
not
could
saying
have been
law was
wrong?
broken. We are not saying law was broken. We
The
are not saying any
error
law
you're
was
talking
broken.
about.
No, we're not saying law was
If,
broken. The matter
when you talk about admitting to an error, what's the error? What's the error?
And if they put
Because
out
the president,
they have lies to carry out. And that's what we're talking about.
you have the
When the
information already.
lies to be carried out.
You already have the information. You have the information.
Koti, when it comes to journalism, news is timeliness. Timeliness. The time the event happened. You got it clear? What happened?
Well, I don't understand. If you want to call that oversight, maybe we may agree with you. But there was an error.
Representative Okoti, man, don't do this to Labra, man. Honorable Okoti, don't do this to Labra. Honorable Okoti, man. Honorable Okoti, man, please, man. Honorable Okoti. Yes, man.
Nothing we do wrong.
You got a repetition to do that, Honorable Okoti. Don't do that to Labra.
We have to conclude on this. Again, we have to conclude on this. Mr. Corey, Mr. Corey.
The councillor gave a statement saying maybe it could be a gaffe. A gaffe is a blunder.
Yeah, blunder. Yeah, gaffe is a blunder. I want to ask the councillor, what is the interpretation of gaffe? You want to go?
Gaffe is a blunder.
I'm here exactly also watching my presentation.
Could we go to something else, Sabo? What's the next topic?
Gentlemen, we'll come in with the next one. We'll come in with the next one quickly before we can open the lines. I'm sure this one can be 15 minutes and then we'll open the lines quickly. There's this whole drama, gentlemen. I'm sure you all been following drama.
Saba?
Yeah?
Hello? You know the good thing about this whole deal? Yeah, hello? You know the good thing about this deal?
Well, we're only on the deal now. But we're only on the deal.
The good thing about it is that nobody asked for $5 million before signing anything. That's the good thing about it. Nobody asked for anything.
Nobody said the deal is bad.
Let's go that. Let's end that. Yes, thank you for making a point.
$5 million before signing. That's the good thing about it.
Mr. Cody, let's transition now to our next discussion. Gentlemen, there's this drama about the 30 million WFP money. World Food Program money. There are some individuals who think that the whole WHO's fund or funding should be audited. But if you listen to the former finance minister, he said it's not possible to audit monies brought in by foreign institutions like the WFP is because you didn't bring the money as a government or as a country, it's the foreign money. So, but the whole drama is that there are individuals who are asking that the former finance minister be prosecuted for the way the money was used, and up to present there's no report to that effect. But the former finance minister came out with a press statement and said that he did nothing wrong. The balance of the money was requested by the current finance minister and not him. What's your take, Mr. Jacob Jara? Let's hear from you first.
No, but I think that the former minister of finance, explained himself.
George? Yeah, Jacob, go ahead. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, no, Minister 12, if you listen, if anyone had the time to listen to Minister 12, his press conference, he was very clear. And he laid out in absolute plain terms what happened with the whole funding around the COVID food ration, the COVID relief fund, and he made it very clear that about $25 million of the amount was disbursed to the World Food Program. The fund came from the International Monetary Fund as an intervention during COVID, and the World Food Program, the United Nations body, operationalized the program. They expended the money and they distributed the food ration as part of their mandate and as part of their work. They have great deal of experience doing that for decades. So that was the case. The Liberian government did not spend, Honor Minister Tuer did not spend any money. He showed documentary evidence to prove that. So I don't know what the issue is coming from again. I think if people speculated possibilities that there may have been fraud along that, but I think the former Minister of Finance dispelled all of that misunderstanding and distributed the fact to the public. And I think
former Minister Tuer he's now off the hook.
But no, on the hook, was he even on the hook in the first place? I think information went around from one network. I know people are still doing like electoral hangover 2023 thing and try to drag the former Minister of Finance into this. He clarified very, very vehemently and lay out the facts bare in the public. And even those who try to connect him to any possibility of fraud have now a change of mind because the evidence are available that the Minister of Finance did not expend a dime on that fund, and the fund was transferred to the United Nations World Food Program, and the WFP implemented the program. So if there are question marks around the conduct of the food ration of the assistance program, as a country, we have the right to investigate. Then we can inquire with the World Food Program and give us more detail around it and ask questions about what went on.
But can funding from World Food Program and other institutions, international institutions, can funding of those institutions be audited? Is it possible? Do we have the laws to do that?
Well, I don't know. The UN is another body, but the UN itself, I mean, Kando can say maybe you experience that, but the UN itself is an organization that prides itself on transparency and audit. They do regular audit. I actually work for an international organization. I know that, regular audit is part of the procedure of the institution. But this fund was a fund that came from the International Monetary Fund. But I understand that it is a kind of loan that also came to the government. So this is government resources. So I think there is a possibility, there is a mechanism from the government perspective, because if the government is taking it as a loan and we have to, and it goes on our book as a country, and we have questions around the expense of those resources.
Hello? You're listening to the Nighttime Heat?
To see a deal of sense.
Okay.
To ask questions.
Okay. Now, but in the press statement, coming to Councillor Kando Bagbada, in the press statement of the former finance minister, he said there was some $4 million, I hope I got it right, dish out given to the NEC of budget spending. Can the minister also be hooked for that?
Well, Sobo, I would like to preface my comments by saying that I'm not very intimate with the facts concerning this WFP 30 million. Neither am I intimate with this off-budget 4 million. And as lawyers will always tell you, analysis generally flow from the facts. If you have the material facts of a particular matter, then you can say and reach conclusions based on the applicable law. So I don't know what transpired with WFP. I don't know who managed, because donor funding are structured in several different ways. Sometimes they will set up a fund and they will have joint management procedures with both the government and the donor. There are other times they will set up a fund and create a project management unit within government, and they will sit over the pool of resources. There are other times they will transfer these resources to government, and they will only come back and do regular monitoring to see if implementation is consistent with the rules that they have jointly signed regarding the implementation of those agreements. Now, based on how the project is structured, to a larger extent will influence where you find responsibility at the end of the day, whether financial, operational, or otherwise. regarding the expending of monies associated with that project. So what I would say, before we jump to conclusions regarding culpability or lack thereof of funding and how they were spent, I would say people need to take some time to actually read this project documentation, see how it is structured, see how finances were being expended. And of late, the GSC has been doing a lot of audits. I mean, where's the audit on this fund? Do we have a copy of the audit? Can we read that audit and see if an audit exists? What were the conclusions there? Even though we know that audits in and of themselves are not, documents that convict, but they provide a basis for us to have a more informed conversation. So let's do that, at least with the 30 million. On off budget, at least what I know about off budget is that it is not illegal to do off budget spending, provided the requirements for off budget exist. And I believe, I early on started trying to be an accountant, but somewhere along the way, I got tired with those numbers and they were creating problems in my head. So I abandoned accounting and I've stuck with law. But I think, what I understand about off budget is that you try to plan and budget as a government because you want to be deliberate about your priorities, your development priorities, and therefore tailor your spending to respond to those priorities. That's why we do all of the budgeting. The legislature cross-examines all of the things we present to them from the spending entities, and eventually monies where budget are allocated. But I don't care how you plan for any country or for any entity, so to speak, there are going to be times where there will be emergencies or there will be situations that you could not predict. For example, the Elections Commission is one area where that always happens. You have a lawmaker who is sitting, either that lawmaker decides to contest for a higher position. You could not predict that will happen. He becomes a senator or she becomes a senator, and now you have a vacant seat. Now the NEC now has to cater for a vacant seat and hold an election because this is a democracy. That's how we do it. So again, if that money has not been allocated to NEC at the beginning of the budget year, the finance entity, which is MFDB, has to find that money. Or unfortunately, let's say God forbid a representative passes away while he's in the seat. I mean, everyone thought that the representative would stay there for 6 years, but the representative did not do that. Now the representative has passed, and therefore you need to have an election. So off-budget spending is particularly there to respond to those eventualities that planning did not cater for. I mean, like clearly. So it's not illegal, but there are conditions that must exist. It must fall within that category for it to happen. Are those the conditions that were prevalent or present in the case of former Minister Twe? Again, I don't have all of the facts, so I can't reach specific conclusions. But what I would advise, what I would advise, and Liberians, I keep saying this, is that we're very quick to reach conclusions. And now with the advent of social media, all it takes is a post on an accusation, on allegations, and we've already condemned people without giving them the opportunity to defend themselves, from spurious and sometimes, personal vendetta against people. So let's find the facts. Let's see what the reports are. Let's understand who was responsible for what, and then we can reach informed conclusions about that matter. I think that's what I would say to them.
Dave, you want to come in? Because we want to open the lines quickly.
Yeah, very briefly. If I can come across my old friend from Bishop Brooks, he and I grew up together, Samuel Twe, my old friend. I would just say to him, please be quiet. Just be quiet, since this matter is in court, be quiet. Sometimes when you talk too much, you reveal certain things. So Minister Twe, my old good friend from Perry Street, when you and I were there, was called Bishop Brooks. My advice to you, that thing about the public opinion is different from the real good thing. I'm not a lawyer, and I would never pretend to be one. And like Councillor Bala just said, I don't have much information on this, but my good friend, I say to you, be quiet. This matter is in court. Public opinion. Thank you very much and have a good time.
Okay, Reverend Dr. Christo, you want to make a wait on that so that we can open the lines quickly?
Yeah, all I can say is that the rule of law must take its course. The justice system should be appreciated, and we should make sure that our justice system in the country is one that we can be proud of. So when you are accused, accusation is not fact until the accusation becomes fact. The person cannot be, although there will be public sentiments around in terms of condemnation, in terms of whether you did it or not. But let us wait that the judicial process go on, and let us be able to get the findings from the judicial process, which will help us to improve our democracy.
Okay, let's try to take a few calls quickly. 0778-460-793. Again, 0778-460-793. Or better still, 0886-540-987. 0886-540-987. Let's take the first call on the line quickly. Good evening.
How you doing?
I'm okay, sir. Let's hear from you.
I'm calling from the Africa Mirror.
Okay.
Honorable Koti, thank you, man. Can you brother? I enjoy the two of you. I just start following the story. But look, those guys are saying the deal, the $1.8 billion deal that was signed, it was wrong. I'm not saying any wrong there. Because even if they sign that deal across the sea, they sign it under the water, it will still go to the legislature. Going to bypass it. I don't even know where Sandy they're coming from with that own story. Send the past 6 years. We even see $1 billion deal that was signed in this country. This is the first time we start seeing this. Then we get to America. Donald Trump is Joe Bucket. But the main person, Joe Bucket, where he learned English from, I'm not taking that to be bad thing. But because at that time, they never saw anything like that. Nobody will tell me that Joe Bucket is not educated, that he will go make or speak or wrong English. That happened, Donald Trump was happy with the man because I listened to it on different sections. Of course, I never listened to it from France, but later I started listening to you. That was not any bad thing, but that Sunday man, you better have your political jacket, CDC jacket put on you,
okay,
and tell the Liberian people that every wrong that you are doing, so we can know if you're not doing it, you're still proving to us that while you're saying everything you were doing, everything was right, you will never, ever smell that seed. Never. Forever you will not smell that seed.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let's take another call on the line quickly. Good evening. Your name and where you calling from? Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Yes, sir. Let's hear from you.
My name is Abon Kemuga in Carwell.
Okay.
People, you said it is not they took over 1 hour on this thing. This thing, it was wrong, it was right, but they left the journey there out. That the politician and the opposition are crying. Because I told people, if our bullock were being attacked on Sunday evening, you want to tell me the president will call journey there for and say, my people, what you say? You will not send troops there? You might wait for Monday? That's what you're trying to tell her? Look, I just got a very brand new news from my brother Moses Sami. I know he has natural life. I see that's why he don't want to talk any good thing about the country. Because you feel like eating hamburger every morning. But tomorrow you will come contest. We will chase you out of Liberia.
Okay. Thank you. 0778-460-793. Let's hear from you.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, by the way, I'm William Bishop to try to make my contribution from a page for 17 years. Like my old man, regular president, Mr. Koti. Koti said that let Mr. Pierre leave the two men talking. Listen there, Pierre is the still one of his own record who fared 48 million Liberia. We never get that straight here. Pierre talks a lot. He will just bring all kind of people, display them. So, I tried with my own man, let Mr. Pierre keep quiet. Thank you for my contribution.
Okay, many thanks. 0778-460-793. That's the number to call. Again, 0778-460-793. Let's take this call on the line quickly. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
And also good evening to your panelists. And I'm Blanca Nuri for Combano this evening.
Okay.
The first thing, talk about the HPSD. Government usually have press conferences on Tuesday and Thursday, not Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So government was not in error by disseminating the information on Tuesday, because it is Tuesday and Thursday government has press conferences at Mika and where government officials go. So the inter-ministerial committee that put together, that have the discussion with HPS for 18 months before they agree. It is the chair, the one that signed, which is the NRC chair, the National Investment Commission chair, before it will go to the legislature. From the legislature, when the book has its concord with the other one, before it will go to the president for sign. If I said before leaving the legislature, the chief clerk and the speaker have to sign. Before leaving the Senate, the vice president and the secretary of the Senate, if the vice president is not around, then before the president will sign. When it go to the executive before the president sign, it be printed into handbill and published by Ministry of Foreign Affairs before it become law. So it is not even that he has not even gone yet to the legislature for ratification. The thing people should be pushing for now, when it go to the legislature, let them have public hearing, let people attend the public hearing. That's what should be contemplating on, because that he will come out of course, and they are going to call the legislature going on break next week.
Okay.
So they're going to call the legislature for on break for that tea, and also the recast of the budget.
Okay. Many thanks. Many thanks. You made your point already. 0778 460 793, or better say 086 540 987. Let's just call the line quickly. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is Emmanuel Jiri, second chance in the township of West.
Okay.
I think your panelists on the show, all of them are doing quite well. I love your exposé, but for people understanding, I think sometimes when it comes to the issue of reality, we need to take off our partisanship and be firm and speak to the issues that will benefit our country. I think there was no criticism in the statement made by President Trump today of acknowledging that Liberians speak good English or the president of Liberia speak good English. I think sometimes you have to take all the hardcore, sneaky, political jacket and be real to the issue. And for people David Kuti, I think I would not agree with him on any criticism that you made on any official on the past government, because he one person that always endorse every government that comes to power. Washington was 2029, the president that will win that very election. David Kuti might let you tell you that person that his niece or that his nephew or that person that heaven sent or that God sent or that someone that started to allow the friendship with us.
Okay.
I think we need people with the young generation that will come and come up, not people that will come up between the season.
Okay.
I think his information or his analysis sometimes on past the future is not clear, it's not clear, and in general no direction. Yes, I think President his nephew, Samuel Tua was his brother, and this was his Bagay was his
friend. Okay, you made your point already. Let's get the call on the line quickly. Good evening. Yes, sir. Let's hear from you.
Good evening, and let me say good evening to your guests.
Okay.
And to the rest of the panelists. I'm Monrovia. My name is Stephen T. to be the second.
Okay.
So I don't think this show is about David Kuti. Mr. Kuti is only saying what he knows that is right, and it is the reality. And let me say also thanks to Cameo. You know, those who believe that the government of Liberia have signed an agreement. Let me just ask these few questions. The document that people are running around with, say government signed, is the president's signature there? Is the speaker of the legislature signature there? Or is the pro tem of the Liberian Senate signature there? If these three people's signatures are not there, are we aware that when the legislature ratify an agreement or a document, are you aware that from the end of the Senate, it is the pro tem that's supposed to sign? From the House, it is the speaker that should sign, and the president is the last person. These three signatories are nowhere on that document. How come that people believing that there is an agreement that is signed? How come? After all, the government ministry that is responsible for information told you that no, there is no agreement yet. And then people still running around and say agreement is signed, agreement is signed. I don't understand why the educated people making the country hard for us.
Okay. Okay, many thanks. Many thanks. We take maybe 3 more calls and we'll wrap it up. 0778-460-793. That's the number to call. 0778-460-793, or better still, 0886-540-987. Again, 0886-540-987. That's the number to call. And then you are live on a nighttime heat. Again, 0778-460-793, or better still, 0886-540-987. You call those numbers, you are live on the program at 10:30. Well, we'll be shutting down to return on Friday. Again, you can put your calls, reach those 0778-460-793, or better still, 0886-540-987. That's the numbers to call, and you are live on the program. In the meantime, gentlemen, while we still await 2 more calls, let's hear from you. Is it?
Yes.
Yes.
Quickly. My name was mentioned several times. Let me just provide a little bit of background information. It's very important. I've consistently heard from Liberians that Moses Sandy is a member of the CDC. CDC will come nowhere. Let me make this public disclosure. I want to challenge anybody. I would write a check of $5,000 for you if you can prove that Moses Sandy has an association with any political party in Liberia. I am not a member of any political party. Any publication that will come out, say, yeah, this is Moses Sandy. He's a member of this party. I would write a check for $5,000 and send it to Sober George to give it to you.
Okay.
It's an open challenge. And then the next thing I want to say, look, Sober, one of the greatest challenges we have in our country is illiteracy. A good number of our people, and I don't mean to be condescending, but a good number of our people are unfortunately illiterate. They have difficulty comprehending public information. When people speak, they don't understand the issues. They come on informed. Yeah, let me stop. Thank you.
Okay, Saba, I'd like to come in. Saba?
Yes, go ahead, Dave.
Hello? David,
yes, go ahead, Dave.
Okay, thank you. Let me disagree with you, Mr. Sunday. You cannot insult our people like that. This is not about illiteracy, about being illiterate. Don't insult our people. Those people who call are telling you the truth. And going to school and having masters and doctorate does not mean you are better than other people. It doesn't mean that you are more sound than other people. No, those people who are called, you could listen to them. The voices will tell you that they were speaking their minds. No, I'm coming. Let me one of the greatest challenges. What's the problem with your party? No, but you have to listen. Let me conclude. Let me conclude. What I hate about you people is that you don't want people to disagree with you. When people disagree with you, then they are illiterate, they are uneducated, they are unstable. You cannot always do that. Those people who call are not illiterate or stupid. They tell you the truth. And let me just say this to the one caller who called and talked about me being nephew to this person. Let me tell you something. I said it before on this show and I will say it again. There is nothing wrong with being a regime collaborator. What I would not do, if you are elected, if I didn't vote for you, I campaign for somebody else and you are elected, and I decide to work with you, and by the time you mess up, my friend, I'm gone. I'm gone. I cannot continue to work with. You see, there are some leaders who always think that the people that lead are a bunch of fools. Once that decide to work with you and support you, because God has agreed for you to be president and put you in power, and you think that we who support you are a bunch of fools, then Babu will devacola. I will split with you. So
Okay.
say, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Moses, we have to go now. Moses, your parting comments, we can go.
Yeah, quickly. It was indeed a great show. Very interesting. I want to say Thanks to all of the panelists, Councillor Arcanio Ballard, former Representative Koti, my friend and brother George, my brother from the Council of Churches, Jacob Jala, Soba George, the people in Liberia. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate your views. But again, we have to put Liberia first. Excellent show. Let's keep the heat going. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure.
Okay. Dave, any final word? Your parting comment?
Yes, I'd like to say thanks to all of you there, and thank you too for sometimes calling me to be on this program. And I'd like to say many thanks to the callers who called tonight. You spoke your mind, and I love that. And God bless you.
Let's hear from you.
Thank you. I would say
is Reverend Cole still around? Is Reverend Cole still around? Okay. Yeah, let's hear from you.
So I'd just like to close by saying thank you to all the callers and our guest. This is the show, and we saw what happened. We disagree to agree. So let everyone keep calling and participating on the show. And when the show comes on, please share. It's important that we reach out to a wider audience so that this wonderful independent show can be available to others outside there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just reference some of our viewers tonight. Ophelia S. George said, I'm been watching from home. Vinicius Junior Bar from New Crutown. Bobo Rose Stanford from Brooklyn, New York City. Teddy Amos Conto Jr. is from been watching from Central Monrovia. Shadrach Quinning from Yekipa Makari. Kenneth Briswell, they say from where? Peter Wanley, they say, okay, he said he's watching from the nation's capital. Samuel Kofi Woods Jr., they say from where? Prosper from the UAE. Donovan Blambo Jr. from Capital Bypass. Aram Rahman Kaman Jr. They say from where? Burma Abraham Koi from Chikisufadri. Been watching. Roberta Richards from Louisville, Kentucky. Lucy F. Brown from Bantazo, Keba, and Gabriel Na. They say from where? Well, it's 29 minutes after 10 o'clock, like to be on time. Thanks to all of my guests. We had here Councillor Kandu Bagbala, Mr. Jacob Jara, Mr. David Cody, Reverend Dr. Chris Stowe, Secretary of the Council of Churches, Moses Sani, and the rest of them, producers as well. Until then, Sabra George is my name. Join us on Friday for another fascinating edition of the program. We're trying to make effort to get the Inspector General of the Liberia National Police to be on this program. There's this protest that's coming up, and the debate it's getting more wider and bigger. We heard from Stans. We'll try to hear from the Police Inspector General if all that goes well on Friday. Until then, Sabra George is my name. Have a pleasant time.